Hi, Olof here. This is the Cannondale Moterra Neo 2. This is Cannondale's take on a long travel do-it-all bike, and it comes with a Bosch CX Performance line motor, and it also comes with a Lyric shock and a SRAM GX 12-speed drivetrain as well. But it's too cold to sit here and talk about the bike, so let's go out for a ride and do some actual testing and do some actual filming as well. See you on the trails.
First, a big thank you to Henriksson Cykel in Borås, not far from Gothenburg, for lending me this bike. Henriksson Cykel is a surprisingly large bike shop with so many interesting high-end bikes. Well worth a visit if you happen to be nearby. The Cannondale Moterra was released earlier this year, but Cannondale does not really work with model years. The Moterra will be a so-called carry-over to 2021 with few changes. There will be some new colors basically, and the aluminium version will also be introduced to the lineup. We could probably expect this model to remain about the same also in 2022. The bike that I'm testing is the Neo 2, which costs around 70,000 Swedish kroner or about 6,800 euros. The last three bikes I have tested were very playful and lightweight mountain bikes, so going back to a full-powered enduro-inspired e-mountain bike at over 23 kilos in weight was almost a bit of a disappointment at first. The ride in the pump track and the jump line was more planted than poppy. This can of course be tweaked to some extent by changing the suspension settings, but I think the bike is designed to stay on the ground. It requires a lot of input from the rider to start flying. However, this doesn't mean that the bike is slow and boring. On the contrary, it's pretty agile for its size and weight, especially in slow to mid-speed turns, and to pop a wheelie is not a huge problem either. The wheels are 29-inch both front and rear, equipped with Maxxis Minion DHF and DHR2 with 2.6-inch in width. The tires are sticky enough on wet and muddy roads and play a big role in how much I can trust the bike in sketchy situations. I mostly prefer skinnier tires that dig into the mud a bit more, but I have no problems with the rather wide tires that comes with the bike. The choice of brakes is interesting. It's Magura's MT5s both front and rear. While the rear wheel has got a 200mm disc, the front wheel has got a lavish 220mm disc designed with two interlocking rings for better heat dissipation. Brake seems to be an endless source for discussions, and while the braking power was good enough, I actually expected more. A reference bike has got Shimano's simplest 4-pot brakes and a 200mm disc in the front, and it's got similar braking power. The MT5 on the Moterra is equipped with Magura's blue brake pads, which isn't exactly the grippiest of brake pads. They are aimed more at beginner mountain bikers and will last a long time. But I find it a bit strange to equip a bike with monster brakes and then ruin it all with the most basic of brake pads. Anyways, not a big deal. It's easy to switch brake pads to something that suits your riding style. The propulsion system is the well-known Bosch CX Performance that's paired with a 625 Wh battery and a Purion controller. With the new software that was released this summer, the motor kicks in immediately, which is very useful when starting in steeper sections. I have no complaints whatsoever with this motor, it's an excellent choice. A big plus is a well-ventilated skid plate made from aluminium to protect the motor. I have a small issue with the dropper. It's Cannondale's own 150mm down-low dropper, which plays some tricks with me. Normally I just push the lever and down it goes, but here I need to shift my weight forward to get it to move. Sitting in my normal position, it's stuck no matter how much weight I put on it. Maybe it just takes some getting used to. On to the biggest positive with this bike, and for me one of the most important features, and that's how well the suspension works. Simply put, the bike is very plush and rolls comfortably over anything in its path. Wet tree roots, rock gardens, you name it, and the bike will happily get you through without any hesitation. I have tested the Lyric fork on another lighter bike and I was impressed already then. Now when it sits on a full-powered 23 kilo e-mountain bike, it seems to work even better. The RockShox Deluxe Select Plus RT shock works exceptionally well together with the 4-bar rear linkage system. I am by no means any suspension expert, but I can tell when things work better than expected.
This motor really helps out in its steep technical climbs, very nimble, very agile. It's no problem at all. It's a breeze to climb up this hill. Kind of.
While floating over tree roots, the bike is very light and agile to maneuver. It's easy to put the front wheel where you want it without too much effort, especially when climbing. That is much appreciated by me as an average mountain biker and very confidence inspiring. Some other reviewers claim that the agile behavior is due to the 51mm fork offset, but I suspect that is only one component in a complete balanced package. Our reference bike has also got a 51mm offset, but has a different feel than the Moterra. So far, the choice of components is spot on, and so is the choice of drivetrain. I have grown to like the SRAM GX components a lot, and it's now my favorite group set at this price point. The shifts are smooth, and the only thing I noticed is a funny thing with the shifter itself. It seems to be some sort of a SRAM NX shifter that can only shift up one gear at a time. A very odd choice to the otherwise almost perfect bike, component-wise, in this price category. The crank arms are pretty short, 160mm. Again, the same measurement as with our Trek reference bike. I experienced fewer pedal strikes with the Moterra, possibly thanks to the higher bottom bracket. This, together with its agility, suspension, tires and drivetrain, makes it really easy to climb and get over technical sections of the trail. It just goes.
It's very nimble in these techie climbs. It's very easy to maneuver through these tight corners. It's like a much lighter bike than it is.
After riding the Moterra Neo 2 for a while, it really grows on me. I'm starting to appreciate it more than I did when I tried a few jumps and drops in the jump line. I will give it a try to categorize the bike, and I stick by the fact that this is a do-it-all bike. I'm not sure it's a full-on enduro bike despite its big fancy brakes. I think it sits somewhere in between trail and enduro. And I don't think jumping about is the intended use for this bike. It's more aimed at fast trails and techie climbs, and it's easy to keep a good pace with the bike, both uphill and downhill. Here are 3 annoying things with the Cannondale Moterra. With the Neo 2 version of the Moterra, it's only possible to shift up one gear at a time, which is something I'm not used to. An odd choice of lever, but easily upgradable if this is an issue for you. I need to shift my weight quite far forward to get the dropper to move, which is an inconvenience. Maybe this was a one-off, I'm not sure, but if not, it's a thing that you need to get used to. To get airborne, this bike requires some input from the rider. This is not necessarily a bad thing, there's a balance in how the bike is designed to ride, and this bike has got a more planted than poppy feel. Still agile and great fun to ride for being a full-powered e-mountain bike. Here are 3 good things with the Cannondale Moterra. One of the most important aspects of any mountain bike, and Cannondale has really nailed the suspension. When a bike makes difficult patches easy to ride, it is a sure tell sign of a successful design and choice of components. This is a very capable bike. I've said it before, but the SRAM GX derailleur does a great job of keeping things smooth as butter. Shifting gears with a powerful Bosch motor can be a bit brutal at times, but the combo, Bosch and SRAM, seem to work very well. There is no funny stuff going on here with odd riding positions or the rider having to shift weight too much in different situations. It's a forgiving bike with a wide sweet spot. I think we've come to a point where most e-bikes in this price category are all great bikes. It's a matter of riding characteristics and component details rather than if the bike is good or not. As mentioned, this is a bike that grows on you. After a while you will start to notice and appreciate the refined handling and choice of great components at this price point. It sure is a well thought out do-it-all bike.